Have you ever felt like negativity is taking over your mind, leaving you overwhelmed and drained? Does it feel like no matter how hard you try, those negative thoughts just won't go away? What if I told you that there's a way to break free from this cycle and cultivate a peaceful, positive mindset? Imagine waking up every day with a calm mind, free from worries and stress. Sounds impossible? Well, it's not. And in this video, we're going to explore how you can remove negativity from your mind using simple, powerful teachings from Buddhism. Take a moment and think about your typical day. How often do you catch yourself thinking negative thoughts? Whether it's about your work, relationships, or even your own self-worth, we all experience those moments of doubt and frustration. But what if we could change that? What if, instead of dwelling on negative thoughts, we could learn how to replace them with peace, joy, and clarity? Let me tell you a quick story. Imagine a cup filled with muddy water. The water is cloudy, and you can't see through it. But if you let it sit for a while, the mud will settle, and the water will become clear. Your mind is like that cup of water. Negativity clouds your thinking, but with the right approach, you can clear your mind and see things as they truly are. In this video, we'll show you exactly how to do that. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we dive deep into powerful life lessons and teachings. If you want to learn more about creating a positive mindset and living a life of wisdom, then you're in the right place. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of you have subscribed. So, if you want to stay updated on all our videos, please hit that subscribe button now and don't miss out. In today's video, we're going to explore how negativity takes root in our minds and how you can start removing it. Buddhism offers us deep wisdom on this subject, and we'll break it down into simple steps that you can start applying to your life right away. Stay tuned as we walk you through a transformative journey to a more peaceful, positive you. Understanding negativity, causes, and impact. Negativity is something that we all encounter in our daily lives. It can show up in many forms, from self-doubt to fear, anxiety, anger, and even hopelessness. But have you ever wondered where all this negativity comes from? Why do we experience these troubling thoughts, and how do they affect us? The truth is, understanding the roots of negativity is the first step towards letting go of it. In Buddhism, we learn that negativity is born from the attachments we have, our attachment to desires, our attachment to expectations, and even our attachment to our own identity. Every time we hold on too tightly to something, whether it's a belief, a material possession, or a certain outcome, we create the space for negativity to enter our minds. When we face challenges, disappointments, or setbacks, these attachments cause us to react with fear, anger, or frustration because we're afraid of losing what we hold dear. This constant state of attachment keeps us trapped in negative thinking patterns. Let's take a simple example. Imagine you have a favorite possession. It could be a book, a phone, or even a car. Now, let's say this item breaks or gets lost. How do you feel? Chances are, you might feel upset, angry, or frustrated. Why? Because you were attached to it. The more we hold on to something with the belief that it defines us or brings us happiness, the more pain we experience when it's taken away. This attachment doesn't just apply to material things. We are also deeply attached to our opinions, our way of doing things, and even to our idea of who we are. In Buddhism, this attachment to the self is known as the ego. The ego is like a veil that covers the true nature of our being. It tells us that we are separate from everything else, and that we need to protect ourselves at all costs. This is where negativity arises, from the fear of losing our sense of self or not getting what we desire. The ego constantly fuels our negative thoughts because it is never satisfied. No matter how much we have, the ego always wants more. The impact of negativity is far-reaching. It doesn't just affect our emotions in the moment, it also harms our overall well-being. Research shows that constantly dwelling on negative thoughts can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and even physical health problems. When we are consumed by negative emotions, we can become disconnected from the present moment, which is the only place where true peace and happiness exist. Imagine if every day you woke up with a sense of calm and clarity. Instead of worrying about what might go wrong or what others think of you, you could approach each moment with openness and acceptance. This is possible but only if we begin to recognize the source of our negativity and choose to let go of it. A powerful lesson in Buddhism is the understanding of impermanence, the idea that everything is constantly changing. Our thoughts, our emotions, and even our circumstances are not fixed. Just as a cloud passes through the sky, so too do our negative thoughts. But if we hold on to them, believing they define us, they will take root and linger. In Buddhism, it's taught that we should learn to observe our thoughts without attachment. This means acknowledging negative thoughts when they arise, but not letting them control us. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. How many times have you held onto a negative thought or emotion for longer than necessary? Maybe you've dwelled on a mistake you made, or worried about something that hasn't even happened yet. The more we hold onto these thoughts, the more we allow them to grow and take over. But the key is to recognize them as they are, simply passing thoughts, not truths. Understanding the nature of negativity and its impact on our lives is the first step toward breaking free from its grip. It's important to remember that we are not our thoughts. We are the observer of those thoughts. The more we practice observing without judgment or attachment, the more we can create space for positive thoughts and emotions to arise. In Buddhism, this is known as mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, without allowing our thoughts or emotions to dictate our experience. When we are mindful, we can see the negativity for what it truly is, just a temporary state of mind that doesn't need to control us. Mindfulness gives us the power to choose how we respond, rather than simply reacting out of habit or attachment. As we continue this journey, you will learn how to use mindfulness to transform your negative thoughts into opportunities for growth and understanding. But before we dive into these practices, it's essential to recognize the underlying causes of negativity and how they manifest in our lives. By doing so, we can begin to let go of the attachments that bind us to negative thinking and create space for peace and clarity to take root. Remember, negativity is not something that defines us, it's something that we can change. The teachings of Buddhism offer us powerful tools to recognize, understand, and release negativity. And by doing so, we create the conditions for a more peaceful, joyful, and fulfilling life. So, let's take the first step together. Let's explore the causes of negativity and how we can begin to free ourselves from its grasp. The Buddhist perspective on the mind. In Buddhism, the mind is considered to be the source of both suffering and happiness. It's like a garden. What you plant in it will determine what grows. If you plant seeds of negativity, doubt, and fear, you will grow a garden of suffering. But if you plant seeds of peace, awareness, and mindfulness, you will grow a garden of calm and happiness. Understanding the mind in this way is one of the most powerful insights Buddhism offers to help us transform our thoughts and feelings. At the core of Buddhist teachings is the understanding that our minds are often not in a state of peace. Instead, they are like the surface of a turbulent ocean, constantly stirred by waves of thoughts, emotions, and desires. The mind is never still, always caught up in cycles of craving, aversion, and delusion. This constant unrest is what leads to negative feelings like stress, frustration, and anger. But, according to Buddhism, we can learn to calm these mental waves, to still the mind, and to live with greater clarity and peace. The first step in the Buddhist perspective on the mind is to understand its nature. The Buddha taught that the mind is not a permanent or fixed entity. It is constantly changing, constantly influenced by external factors and internal emotions. This is known as the impermanence of the mind. What we think, feel, and believe can change at any moment. Just as clouds pass through the sky, our thoughts and emotions also pass through our minds. They come and go, but we often mistake them for who we are, attaching ourselves to them. This attachment leads to suffering. When we identify too strongly with negative thoughts, we allow them to shape our identity. We think, I am sad, or I am angry, or I am a failure. But the truth is, these thoughts are just passing clouds. They do not define who we truly are. The Buddhist approach encourages us to see these thoughts for what they are, fleeting mental states that do not have to control us. By recognizing that thoughts are impermanent, we can detach ourselves from them, preventing them from overwhelming our minds. The second important teaching about the mind in Buddhism is that it is deeply interconnected with our actions and experiences. The Buddha explained that the mind is like a painter, and our actions are the brushstrokes on the canvas of our lives. If we are constantly thinking negatively, then our actions will reflect those thoughts, whether in the way we treat others or how we treat ourselves. If we think we are unworthy or incapable, we will act accordingly, creating patterns of failure and disappointment. But when we change our thoughts to be more positive, compassionate, and mindful, our actions follow suit, creating a life filled with peace and fulfillment. This is where the Buddhist practice of right mindfulness comes in. Right mindfulness, one of the steps of the Noble Eightfold Path, is the practice of being fully aware of the present moment. Instead of letting our minds drift into negative thought patterns, we focus our attention on the here and now. We observe our thoughts without judgment, acknowledging them but not getting caught up in them. This practice helps us break free from the cycle of negative thinking and develop greater clarity about our true nature. By being mindful, we can choose how we respond to situations, rather than reacting impulsively based on negative emotions. Another key Buddhist teaching on the mind is the concept of samsara, or the cycle of suffering. Samsara refers to the repetitive cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, which is driven by our attachment to desires and aversions. In the context of the mind, samsara represents the mental patterns that keep us trapped in suffering. These patterns are fueled by our cravings, our desire for things to be different than they are, our desire for more, or our desire to avoid discomfort. These cravings stir up the mind, creating turmoil and dissatisfaction. Breaking free from samsara involves developing insight into the nature of our desires. The Buddha taught that desires themselves are not inherently bad, but it is our attachment to them that causes suffering. When we desire something, we often forget that it is temporary, that it will change, or that it is not the source of true happiness. Learning to let go of attachment is crucial in transforming our relationship with the mind. Instead of seeking external things to bring us happiness, we turn inward and cultivate a peaceful, contented mind. One of the most powerful tools in Buddhism for transforming the mind is meditation. Meditation allows us to quiet the mental chatter and observe our thoughts without judgment. Through regular practice, we can gain insight into the workings of our mind, where our thoughts come from, why we think certain things, and how to let go of unhelpful patterns. In Buddhism, meditation is seen as a way to purify the mind, just as cleaning a dusty mirror allows us to see clearly. As we meditate, we gradually remove the layers of negativity, fear, and confusion, allowing the true nature of our minds to shine through. There are many forms of meditation in Buddhism, but all share the goal of calming the mind and developing insight. One of the most common practices is anapanasati, or mindfulness of breath. In this practice, we focus our attention on the breath, observing each inhale and exhale. As we do this, we become more aware of the present moment and less attached to the constant stream of thoughts that usually dominate our minds. With time, this practice helps us cultivate a deep sense of inner peace, making it easier to let go of negative thoughts and emotions. In addition to meditation, Buddhism also encourages us to practice compassion and loving kindness, which are essential for transforming the mind. When we cultivate compassion for ourselves and others, we begin to shift our mental state from one of judgment and criticism to one of understanding and acceptance. Negative thoughts often arise from fear or misunderstanding. By practicing loving kindness, we can replace these negative emotions with warmth, care, and connection. This shift in mindset not only transforms our experience of the world, but also helps us develop more positive and harmonious relationships with others. To understand the Buddhist view of the mind, we must also look at the concept of emptiness. Emptiness refers to the idea that things do not have inherent existence or fixed nature. Our thoughts, feelings, and experiences are not permanent. They are empty of any lasting substance. This understanding helps us loosen our attachment to the things we believe define us. The more we recognize that our thoughts and emotions are not fixed, the more we can free ourselves from their grip. We begin to see that we have the power to change our minds, to choose peace instead of suffering, and to create a more positive and mindful life. In Buddhism, the mind is not something to be controlled or suppressed. Rather, it is something to be understood and cultivated. By developing mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom, we can learn to work with our minds in a way that brings peace and happiness, not only to ourselves but to those around us. The key is not to fight against our thoughts, but to observe them with awareness, to let go of the negative ones, and to replace them with thoughts that lead to peace and joy. This is the heart of Buddhist practice, a path of transformation that begins with understanding the mind. As we move forward, we will explore how the teachings of Buddhism can help us remove negativity from our minds and transform our lives. The journey may not always be easy, but with practice and dedication, we can cultivate a mind that is clear, peaceful, and filled with wisdom. The path to a peaceful mind is within reach, and it begins with understanding the nature of our thoughts and the power we have to change them. The Four Noble Truths and letting go of negativity. In the practice of Buddhism, one of the most fundamental teachings is the Four Noble Truths. These truths offer a clear path to understanding suffering and, more importantly, how to free ourselves from it. Negativity in the mind often comes from our struggle with suffering, so understanding these truths can help us let go of the negative thoughts that weigh us down. Let me guide you through these truths in the simplest way possible, so you can start applying them to your life right now. The first noble truth: life involves suffering. The first truth is simple but profound. Life involves suffering. This doesn't mean that life is only suffering, but it's a reminder that suffering is a part of the human experience. We all go through pain: emotional pain, physical pain, disappointment, loss, and heartache. These things are inevitable, but what does this have to do with negativity? Well, the suffering we face often leads to negative thoughts and feelings. We might feel angry, sad, or frustrated when things don't go the way we want them to. We might hold on to grudges or let our past failures shape our present. When we resist suffering or wish things were different, negativity fills our minds. But acknowledging that suffering is part of life helps us stop fighting against it. When we stop resisting the inevitable, we free up space for peace to enter. The second noble truth: the cause of suffering. The second noble truth reveals the cause of our suffering: craving and attachment. We suffer because we cling to things, whether it's material things, experiences, people, or even certain outcomes. We believe that if we have or achieve something, we will be happy. But this attachment often leads to disappointment. For example, we might crave success, and when it doesn't come, we feel frustrated and negative. Or we might be attached to a certain person or relationship, and when it changes or ends, we feel heartbroken. These cravings and attachments bind us to negative thinking and prevent us from finding true happiness. The key to letting go of negativity, then, is to recognize the impermanence of everything. Everything in life, whether it's success, relationships, or even our own thoughts, is temporary. When we stop clinging to these things and accept their impermanent nature, we free ourselves from the cycle of desire and disappointment. This doesn't mean we stop caring about things or people, but it means we approach them without attachment. The third noble truth: the end of suffering. The third noble truth tells us that there is a way to end suffering. It's not about escaping life's difficulties, but about transforming how we relate to them. This is where letting go of negativity comes into play. When we no longer cling to things, and when we stop resisting the natural flow of life, we can experience peace, even in the midst of challenges. Think of a river flowing gently. The water doesn't resist the rocks or the bends in the riverbed. It simply flows around them. In the same way, we can let go of negativity by learning to flow with life, accepting it as it comes, and not fighting against what is. The key to ending suffering is to stop identifying with your negative thoughts. When you think, "I am angry," or "I am a failure," you are identifying yourself with the emotion. Instead, try to observe the thought or feeling without judgment. When you do this, you realize that you are not the thought. You are the observer of it. This simple shift can drastically reduce negativity in your life. The fourth noble truth: the path to the end of suffering. The fourth noble truth outlines the way to end suffering, which is called the Noble Eightfold Path. This path is a guide for living a life that leads to liberation from suffering and negativity. The Eightfold Path consists of right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Right understanding. This means understanding the Four Noble Truths and seeing the world as it truly is. When we understand the nature of suffering and its causes, we stop expecting life to be perfect. We stop clinging to the illusion that we can control everything. Right intention. This involves cultivating intentions that are free from greed, hatred, and delusion. Instead of being driven by selfish desires or negative emotions, we focus on compassion, kindness, and wisdom. Our intentions shape our actions, and when our intentions are pure, our actions follow suit. Right speech. The way we speak to others and ourselves is incredibly powerful. Negative speech, gossip, lying, or speaking harshly only fuels negativity in the mind. Right speech encourages us to speak truthfully, kindly, and helpfully. When we speak with compassion, it lifts not only the listener but also ourselves. Right action. Right action involves doing things that are ethical and beneficial, both for ourselves and for others. Actions that cause harm to others or to ourselves generate negative karma, which can keep us trapped in a cycle of suffering. Right action encourages us to act with integrity and compassion. Right livelihood. This means living in a way that does not cause harm to others. If our work or lifestyle causes us to act unethically, it can create negative energy and stress. By choosing a path that aligns with our values and promotes the well-being of others, we bring positivity into our lives. Right effort. Right effort involves cultivating positive states of mind and preventing negative ones from taking hold. It's about making a conscious effort to focus on positive thoughts, actions, and behaviors. This doesn't mean ignoring problems, but rather approaching them with a mindset of possibility and growth. Right mindfulness. Mindfulness is about being fully present in each moment without judgment. It's about observing your thoughts and emotions without getting caught up in them. When we are mindful, we are less likely to be overwhelmed by negative thoughts because we can see them for what they are. Temporary mental events, not truths about who we are. Right concentration. This is about developing a focused mind through practices like meditation. When we can concentrate, we can bring our mind back to peace, even when life becomes chaotic. Meditation helps us train our mind to let go of distractions, including negative thoughts, and find clarity. Applying the Four Noble Truths to letting go of negativity. By understanding and applying the Four Noble Truths, we can begin to dissolve the negativity that clouds our minds. First, we accept that negativity is a natural part of life, but we don't have to let it control us. We understand that it arises from our attachments and cravings, and we see that by letting go of these attachments and following the Eightfold Path, we can live a life of peace and wisdom. The beauty of these teachings is that they're not just abstract ideas, they are practical tools for everyday life. Each moment offers an opportunity to let go of negativity and choose peace. By practicing mindfulness, cultivating compassion, and living with intention, we can transform our minds and our lives. So, the next time you find yourself caught in a negative thought or emotion, remember the Four Noble Truths. Recognize the suffering, understand the cause, know that there is an end, and follow the path that leads to freedom. The more you practice these teachings, the more you will experience the peace and joy that comes with letting go of negativity. Remember, this path is not about being perfect. It's about progress. Every step you take toward understanding and letting go of negativity is a step toward a more peaceful, fulfilling life. The Eightfold Path, a roadmap to positivity. In our journey to remove negativity from our minds, one of the most valuable teachings we can explore is the Eightfold Path. This isn't just a set of instructions. It's a complete roadmap that shows us how to live with wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. In Buddhism, it's considered the path that leads to the cessation of suffering and the cultivation of true happiness. Let's begin by understanding why this path is so important. We all want happiness, peace, and fulfillment in life. But often, we find ourselves stuck in patterns of negativity, stress, and confusion. This is because our actions, words, and thoughts are guided by ignorance and misunderstanding. The Eightfold Path is designed to help us break free from these patterns and replace them with positive habits that lead to a clear, peaceful mind. The Eightfold Path is divided into three main sections: wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. These three sections are like the pillars of a strong building. They support each other and help us create a solid foundation for our mental and emotional well-being. 1. Right understanding, wisdom. The first step on the Eightfold Path is right understanding. This means having a deep, clear understanding of the nature of reality. It's about seeing things as they truly are, without the distortion of our personal biases, fears, and desires. In the context of negativity, right understanding helps us realize that negative thoughts, emotions, and situations are not permanent. They come and go, just like the weather. Understanding this truth can bring great relief. You don't need to hold on to negativity because it's not something that defines you. It's simply a passing moment. When we practice right understanding, we begin to see that everything in life is interconnected. The suffering we experience is often caused by our attachment to things, our desires, or our aversions. By understanding the impermanent nature of everything, we can start to let go of those attachments, which reduces suffering and negativity. 2. Right intentions, wisdom. Next is right intentions, which go hand in hand with right understanding. Right intentions means setting our minds on positive, wholesome goals. It's about developing an attitude of kindness, compassion, and non-violence, both towards ourselves and others. When we have the right intentions, we approach the world with a mindset that seeks to benefit everyone, not just ourselves. When negativity creeps into our minds, it often comes from self-centered thinking, fear, anger, or jealousy. But when our intentions are rooted in love and compassion, negativity begins to lose its power. The more we intentionally cultivate positive thoughts and desires, the more we align ourselves with peace and joy. 3. Right speech, ethical conduct. The third step is right speech. This is all about speaking in a way that is kind, truthful, and helpful. Our words have immense power. They can heal, but they can also harm. Negative speech, like gossip, lying, or harsh words, not only damages others, but also pollutes our own mind. When we speak with intention, we create a positive environment around us, which helps remove negativity. Right speech is not just about avoiding harmful words, but also about speaking truthfully and with compassion. If we are in the habit of speaking with kindness, it becomes easier to maintain a peaceful mind and avoid getting caught up in negative emotions. 4. Right action, ethical conduct. Right action is the next step on the path. This involves acting in ways that are morally right, beneficial, and supportive of others. It's about behaving in a way that aligns with your higher values, values like honesty, kindness, and generosity. Our actions have a powerful impact on our mental state. When we do good, we feel good. When we act in alignment with our values, we build a sense of inner peace. When we engage in negative actions, like stealing, hurting others, or being deceitful, we create negative karma, which leads to suffering and negativity in our lives. Right action encourages us to act in ways that foster harmony and peace, both within ourselves and in the world around us. 5. Right livelihood, ethical conduct. Right livelihood is about earning a living in a way that is honest and does not harm others. Many people get stuck in jobs or careers that are stressful, draining, or even unethical. But when we choose work that aligns with our values and contributes positively to society, we create an environment that supports mental peace and happiness. By practicing right livelihood, we can remove the negativity that often arises from financial stress, unethical behavior, or dissatisfaction with our work. When our work brings us fulfillment and aligns with our ethics, it becomes a source of joy rather than frustration. 6. Right effort, mental discipline. Now we move into the section of mental discipline, starting with right effort. Right effort involves making a conscious effort to cultivate good mental habits and let go of harmful ones. It's about training your mind to focus on positive thoughts and to avoid negative ones. This can be a difficult task, especially when our minds are cluttered with distractions and negativity. But with effort, we can transform our minds. We can replace feelings of fear, anger, and doubt with those of peace, love, and joy. Right effort doesn't mean forcing ourselves to be positive all the time, but it does mean choosing to put in the work to make positive thinking a habit. Every time we replace a negative thought with a positive one, we are practicing right effort. 7. Right mindfulness, mental discipline. Right mindfulness is the next step. Mindfulness means being fully aware of the present moment, without judgment. When we are mindful, we observe our thoughts and emotions without getting caught up in them. This helps us detach from negativity and not let it control us. Mindfulness also allows us to notice when negativity arises and to gently let it go before it takes over our minds. By practicing mindfulness, we learn to observe our thoughts like clouds passing through the sky, temporary and not defining who we are. It's a powerful way to clear the mind and reduce the grip of negativity. 8. Right concentration, mental discipline. The final step of the Eightfold Path is right concentration. This is the ability to focus the mind completely and without distraction. Right concentration is often developed through meditation. When we train our minds to concentrate, we develop inner calm and clarity. This helps us remove distractions, including negative thoughts, and brings us closer to mental stillness and peace. Through right concentration, we learn to control where our attention goes. Instead of letting our minds wander into negativity, we can bring our focus back to peaceful thoughts, and gradually, negativity begins to lose its hold on us. Mindfulness, cultivating awareness and acceptance. In this part, we will explore one of the most powerful tools for removing negativity from the mind, mindfulness. It's a simple yet transformative practice that can change the way you experience life, bringing you peace, clarity, and a deep sense of inner calm. But what exactly is mindfulness, and how can it help you let go of negative thoughts? Mindfulness, in its simplest form, is the art of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It's about being fully aware of what's happening around you and within you. Right now, in this very moment, in our busy lives, we often find ourselves lost in thoughts of the past or the future. Our minds race from one worry to the next, clouding our judgment and causing us stress. Mindfulness invites us to step out of this cycle and return to the here and now. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been so lost in thought that you didn't even notice what was happening around you? Maybe you were walking, and you didn't hear the birds chirping or notice the beauty of the trees. Or perhaps you were eating and didn't taste your food because you were distracted by your thoughts. This is what happens when we're not mindful. We're so absorbed in our thoughts that we miss the present moment, and with it, the chance to find peace. But when we practice mindfulness, we begin to notice everything. The sounds, the sights, the sensations. We become aware of all the little details that make up our experience. This doesn't mean we're ignoring our thoughts or pushing them away. Instead, we observe them from a place of non-judgment, without getting caught up in them. By practicing mindfulness, we can learn to see our thoughts for what they are. Just thoughts, not necessarily the truth or reality. One of the key teachings of Buddhism is that suffering arises when we get attached to our thoughts, emotions, and experiences. We form stories in our minds about who we are, what we should be, and how the world should treat us. These stories often lead to disappointment, frustration, and negativity. But through mindfulness, we can begin to see these thoughts without attachment. We can watch them come and go, like clouds in the sky, without being swept away by them. Let's take a moment to look at a simple example. Imagine you're sitting quietly and a thought arises, "I'm not good enough." Without mindfulness, you might react immediately to that thought, believing it to be true. You might start to feel bad about yourself, spiraling into a negative mindset. But with mindfulness, you can simply notice the thought, there's that thought again. It's just a thought, and it doesn't define me. You don't react to it. You don't judge it. You simply observe it and let it pass. This is the power of mindfulness. It helps you detach from negative thoughts and emotions. Instead of getting caught up in them, you become the observer. This shift in perspective can make a huge difference in how you experience life. You no longer have to be at the mercy of your negative thoughts. Instead, you can watch them come and go, knowing that they are temporary and do not define you. Now, let's talk about how you can start practicing mindfulness in your everyday life. The first step is to set aside some time each day for mindfulness practice. This could be as little as 5 minutes or as much as an hour, whatever works for you. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed and sit in a comfortable position. Close your eyes and begin to focus on your breath. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. Notice the sensation of your breath as it moves in and out. As you focus on your breath, thoughts will inevitably arise. This is normal. Don't try to stop them, but simply notice them. There's a thought, you might say to yourself, and then gently bring your focus back to your breath. If you find yourself getting caught up in a thought or a feeling, don't judge yourself. Just bring your attention back to the present moment. Over time, you'll get better at observing your thoughts without reacting to them. But mindfulness isn't just something you do during meditation. It's something you can practice throughout your day, in everything you do. When you're walking, pay attention to the sensation of your feet touching the ground. Notice the feeling of the air on your skin, the sounds around you, and the sights in your environment. When you're eating, really taste your food. Notice the textures, the flavors, and the smells. When you're talking to someone, listen fully to what they're saying, without letting your mind wander. The key is to be present in each moment, fully aware of what's happening, without distraction. As you practice mindfulness, you'll begin to notice a shift in your mind. You'll become less reactive to negative thoughts and emotions. You'll start to see them for what they are, temporary and fleeting. You'll also become more aware of the beauty and peace that already exists in your life. Even in the midst of challenges, you'll find moments of calm, moments where you can simply breathe and be present. Another important aspect of mindfulness is acceptance. When we're mindful, we're not trying to change or control our thoughts or feelings. Instead, we accept them as they are. This doesn't mean that we approve of negative thoughts or emotions. It simply means that we don't fight them. We allow them to be there, without judgment or resistance. In Buddhism, this is known as radical acceptance, the ability to accept things as they are, without trying to force them to be different. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or resigning yourself to a life of negativity. It simply means acknowledging what is, without trying to deny or escape it. When we accept our thoughts and feelings, we create space for healing. We stop adding extra layers of stress or frustration by fighting against what is. Instead, we open ourselves up to the possibility of change and growth. Mindfulness and acceptance go hand in hand. When we are mindful, we are able to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment. And when we practice acceptance, we create the conditions for those thoughts and feelings to shift and change. This is how we begin to clear the negativity from our minds. We don't force it to go away. Instead, we simply create the space for it to pass naturally. As you continue your mindfulness practice, you'll begin to notice how your mind changes. Negative thoughts will lose their power over you. Instead of being consumed by them, you'll be able to let them come and go without getting caught up in them. You'll start to experience more moments of peace, more moments of clarity, and more moments of joy. This is the gift of mindfulness, an ability to be present, to accept what is, and to let go of the negativity that no longer serves you. Remember, mindfulness is a practice. It's not something that happens overnight, but with patience and consistency, you'll begin to see the results. Your mind will become clearer, calmer, and more peaceful. And the negativity that once held you back will begin to fade away. So, take a deep breath and commit to bringing more mindfulness into your life. Start small, but be consistent. With each moment of mindfulness, you're taking a step closer to a more peaceful and positive mind. Let go of the negativity and make space for the peace that is already within you. Meditation, a tool for mental transformation. When we talk about transforming the mind, we cannot ignore the power of meditation. It's not just a practice. It's a way of training the mind to break free from the cycle of negativity. Meditation, when practiced regularly, can become a powerful tool that helps you clear the clutter from your mind, bringing peace and clarity to your thoughts. But what exactly is meditation, and how does it work to remove negativity? Let's dive into it. At its core, meditation is about being fully present in the moment. It is a practice that trains the mind to focus, to observe without judgment, and to detach from the constant chatter of our thoughts. When you meditate, you create a space between you and your thoughts. Instead of being swept away by every emotion or judgment that arises, you learn to simply observe, acknowledging each thought without attaching any value to it. Imagine your mind as a busy marketplace, with people shouting, carts moving, and noises everywhere. This is how our mind often feels, chaotic and filled with distractions. Meditation helps you step away from this marketplace, finding a quiet corner where you can sit and simply observe. You don't need to engage with every noise or thought. Over time, you'll begin to notice how much of what you're thinking is unnecessary or even harmful. Buddhism teaches that the mind is naturally pure, but it becomes clouded by attachments, desires, and negative emotions. Meditation helps clear these clouds. The process is not instantaneous, and it requires patience, but with consistent practice, you can experience profound changes in how you think and feel. As the Buddha said, with our thoughts, we make the world. If our thoughts are filled with negativity, our world will reflect that. But if we practice meditation to clear our minds, we create a world of peace and positivity. So, how do you meditate? It's simpler than you might think. Start by finding a quiet space, away from distractions. Sit comfortably, with your back straight but relaxed. You don't need to sit in a complex posture. Just find a position that allows you to feel relaxed but alert. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Feel the air enter and leave your body. As you breathe, try to focus your attention on your breath. Feel the sensation of the air moving in and out of your nostrils, or the rise and fall of your chest. At first, your mind may wander. Thoughts may come and go. Memories may surface, and emotions might arise. This is completely normal. The key is to simply observe these thoughts without getting attached to them. When you notice that your mind has wandered, gently bring your focus back to your breath. It's like training a muscle. At first, it's weak, but with practice, it becomes stronger and more disciplined. Meditation also teaches us something called mindfulness. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present, without judgment. In our everyday lives, we often rush through tasks, thinking about the next thing, or worrying about what's coming. But when we meditate, we train ourselves to be in the present moment. We stop living in the past or future and start experiencing life as it is right now. This mindfulness helps us to let go of negative thoughts as we become aware of them and choose not to engage with them. The power of meditation is in its ability to help us become more aware of our inner world. By sitting in silence, we create the space to observe our thoughts and emotions. In Buddhism, this awareness is called right mindfulness, which is part of the Noble Eightfold Path. Right mindfulness teaches us to be aware of our thoughts, speech, and actions, and to choose wisely. When we practice mindfulness through meditation, we start to notice how our thoughts influence our emotions, and how our emotions influence our actions. This awareness is the first step in breaking free from negative thought patterns. Another key benefit of meditation is that it helps to calm the mind. When we meditate, we slow down the constant stream of thoughts. In doing so, we create a sense of peace and stillness that allows us to feel more centered and balanced. This calmness helps us to face the challenges of life with a clearer, more focused mind. Instead of reacting impulsively to situations, we can approach them with a sense of calm understanding. Meditation also promotes self-compassion. As you sit in silence and observe your thoughts, you may notice that many of your thoughts are harsh or critical. You might judge yourself for past mistakes or worry about the future. Meditation helps you become aware of these negative self-judgments, and in doing so, it creates the opportunity to let them go. With time, you begin to replace self-criticism with self-compassion, understanding that you are human, and it's okay to have imperfections. This shift in attitude toward yourself can be transformative, allowing you to let go of self-doubt and embrace self-acceptance. One of the most powerful aspects of meditation is its ability to help us let go of attachments. In Buddhism, attachment is seen as a major source of suffering. We become attached to things, people, and even our own identity, and when these attachments are threatened or taken away, we experience pain. Meditation helps us detach from these attachments by showing us that everything is impermanent. The thoughts that cause us anxiety, the desires that drive us, and even the emotions that seem so overwhelming, they all come and go. When we meditate, we learn to observe them without getting attached, allowing them to pass without causing harm. To deepen your meditation practice, you can incorporate loving kindness, metta, meditation. In this practice, you focus on sending feelings of love, kindness, and compassion to yourself and others. Start by silently repeating phrases like, "May I be happy," "May I be healthy," "May I live with ease." Then, expand these wishes to others, including loved ones, strangers, and even those with whom you may have conflicts. This practice helps to cultivate positive emotions, replacing negativity with compassion and understanding. As you continue your meditation practice, remember that the goal is not to eliminate all negative thoughts. That is an unrealistic expectation. Instead, The goal is to change your relationship with those thoughts. Meditation allows you to observe them without being controlled by them. It helps you to recognize that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind the thoughts. And with this awareness, you can choose to let go of the negativity that no longer serves you. In Buddhism, there is a concept known as sila, which refers to ethical conduct or moral discipline. Meditation supports sila by helping us cultivate a mind that is clear and calm, making it easier to act with wisdom and kindness in our daily lives. When the mind is clouded by negativity, it's easy to act impulsively or with anger. But when we practice meditation and cultivate clarity, we can respond to life with greater wisdom, compassion, and peace. So, how can you bring meditation into your daily life? Start small. You don't need to meditate for hours each day. Even just 5 or 10 minutes can make a big difference. Find a quiet space, sit comfortably, and focus on your breath. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back to the breath.